Is the PlayStation power race over? Well, former PlayStation boss Shawn Layden just said something that could shake up everything we know and love about console gaming. What does this mean for the future of PlayStation? Let's get right into it. So we have this article here which one of my buddies sent me, and he said you should read this and you should make a video on it because of my views on the PlayStation 5 Pro, which were quite strongly against such an expensive console with such a small visible uplift on performance. I know they'll say it's so many teraflops and so much percentage faster, but to the naked eye, there's not a huge difference. Even when you watch some of Digital Foundry's breakdowns, which I'll put a clip on screen right now, they are slowing down the footage. They're zooming in 400%. And I love Digital Foundry. This is not a knock on them. What they do is amazing. I love the channel. I subscribe to them. You should too. But the fact that you need to do this to see the difference, we're splitting hairs. It is a bit bonkers. So Shawn Layden, if you don't know, he was the executive of PlayStation, I think it was Sony Interactive America. It might tell us here in the article, I've not read it, but let's get straight into this and discuss as we go along, and leave your comments and views down below because that's what these videos are all about. It's about having a conversation with you, the PlayStation community. So let's go. Former PlayStation exec says console arms race has plateaued. I would probably agree with that right away. I don't think it matters as much as it used to. You look at the Xbox Series X, on paper is actually more powerful than the PlayStation 5. That's not helped it shift consoles or people to buy it. It's about the software, it's about the games. So he said here, the race is nearly over, and you know who won? AMD. That's probably very true, given AMD make the chips for both Xbox and PlayStation currently. Is that going to change in the future? I don't know. That would maybe be quite cool. Maybe see Nvidia do something. Nvidia make the system on a chip for the Nintendo Switch and maybe the Nintendo Switch 2. So it'd be cool to see what that has in store for us. But what has he said here? He says, former PlayStation executive Shawn Layden has said he believes that games console power's arms race has plateaued and the majority of consumers are not interested in marginally more powerful machines. Answer that in the comments. Are you interested in marginally more powerful machines? That's what I was just saying in the intro about the PS5 Pro. I think on the whole, a lot of people are not. Just a slight power bump doesn't make that much a difference. And if there's constant slight power bumps, like, you know, this half generation console update, it makes the next generation not seem as much of a big jump or as special. Whereas you think back in the day when you went from PS1 to PS2 and then PS2 to PS3, the jump seemed huge because they were like, I don't know, 10 years apart or something. It was a big difference because technology has moved on so much in that space of time. So it says here, Layden, during a 30-year career at Sony, served as CEO, there we go, of Sony Interactive Entertainment America and chairman of Worldwide Studios. Here we go. So he will have a lot of insight here and an insider's view as to what's going on and an opinion, obviously. So he was asked by VGC at Gamescom Asia if the pursuit of incrementally, and that's a key word here, incrementally more powerful consoles can continue sustainably in the future, considering increased development costs. It is a bit like the way Apple are with their iPhone every year. Like, it's slightly better and it still costs a fortune. You do get, obviously, the Apple fanboys which go crazy and buy it every year, but for everyone else, you know, like me, it's like, I'll wait till it's a big upgrade, then I'll make the jump. But he said here, we've done things this way for 30 years. Wow, that's mad. PlayStation is 30 years old, isn't it? Wow. Every generation, those costs went up and we realigned with it, he replied. We've reached the precipice now where the centre can't hold. We can't continue to do things that we have done before. I would agree with this. You see this more and more, in particular, not just with the hardware, but with the game development costs. What was it they said during the Insomniac hack or leaks that, well, it was a hack, that Spider-Man 2 cost something like $200 or $300 million to make? It's a good game, but that's bonkers. So if that game came out and it was a flop, that is a huge, huge hit to Sony's bottom line. And we don't know what's happened with Concord. There's rumours that it cost about 200 million, which blows my mind if it does, because that's possibly the biggest flop in gaming history now. We thought it was Redfall on Xbox, and then PlayStation was like, hold my beer, here's Concord. So I do agree with that. We can't continue as things have gone on in the gaming industry as a whole, especially with the amount of layoffs to all these people that work in the industry. It's just terrible to see. And then you still see companies making massive profits. It's like, what's going on? But he said here, Layden added that he believes in order for the console market to remain healthy. I should say that again. He's added that he believes that in order for the console market... I need another coffee. Layden added that he believes that in order for the console market to remain healthy, they must also appeal to a broad audience and consumers who weren't previously players. Well, I get that. You need to attract more people, but I think part of the thing is they're not attracting as many people as before because the platforms have such long cross-platform periods. So they're still releasing games for like PS4, and we've got PS5 and now PS5 Pro. It's like they need to cut it off when the new one comes out and focus on the next one to make the consumers want to buy the new one. What's the point of buying a PS5 if you can play Horizon Forbidden West and God of War on your PS4? People are just like, well, I won't bother. So I think that would really help them. But they do need to attract new players. I think that would help. And also they need the killer apps. I think the game which is going to help drive people to the new next gen consoles is going to be GTA 6 when it drops. That is going to be huge. And if you can't play that on your PS4 or your Xbox One, everyone is going to fork out and get themselves a PlayStation 5. And if the PS5 Pro is the best place to play that, if they bundle that up even, maybe that could be a good move by Sony. That will be flying off the shelves for real. He goes on, it's time for a real hard reset on the business model. A hard reset on what it is to be a video game. Oh, okay, that's what we're talking about with how expensive they've been, I guess. He says it's not 80 hours, it's not 90 hours, but it is. But if it is, that's a whole different category. Don't know what he means here. I get it. I think there was a phase where games were so full of just filler to make them seem bigger and be like 80, 90, 100 hours. I'm all for that. I'd rather it was just give us the meat of the game. We don't need all this stuff added on. Give us all the action and let us just blast through it or whatever the game is. But I don't know what he's saying there. I mean, there's games like that. I mean, you've got like Baldur's Gate 3. It's like a masterpiece. It's fine that it's that long. It's good that it's that long. So I don't know where he's going with that. That's a bit of a random statement, but let's see if he breaks it down a bit more here. Obviously not. He's saying here, when asked about future console hardware, Layden said that he believed that a power boost on its own would not appeal to the majority of players. I agree with this. Unless it's a massive power boost. Like going from... Think about the PS1 to PS2. I don't know if we'll ever see jumps like that again. Maybe with some AI, accelerated graphics in the future. I don't know, possibly, where it looks like real footage in a game. But yeah, I don't think small power boosts appeal. Let me know what you think. But I think the power boost that the PS5 Pro is showing is just... I also feel like the PS5 Pro is what the PlayStation 5 was sold as and what it should have delivered. Do you not get that? It always feels like they're always saying... I mean, even we had the PS4 Pro and it was 4K 30. I know it was checkerboard upscaling, but it still looked good and it ran well. Had really slow load times, obviously, because it had the old mechanical hard drive. But PS5, it had 8K on the box, and come on, 8K, whatever, but it should have been doing the 4K 60. They need to maybe scale back and optimize their games better for the hardware instead of just, throwing everything at it and then the games struggle. All these different performance modes, or they want, fidelity mode, it's like, just give us a good performant game that runs at 4K 60. Boom, there we go. So he says it's plateaued. We are at the stage of hardware development that I call only dogs can hear the difference, he said. Yeah, I kind of get that. I do get that. Based on what I've seen with the Digital Foundry breakdowns, I'll leave a link to one of them down below in the description. It definitely looks like that to me. I mean, they're like zooming in Ratchet and Clank in the background to like confetti and saying the confetti looks a bit sharper in the PS5 Pro than the PlayStation standard. It's like, who the hell cares about a confetti looking a bit sharper? It's like, what the hell? So yeah, I think Sony are clutching at straws with this one. But again, there'll be the fanboys out there that will love it. And I'm not a PlayStation fanboy. Well, I am, but I'm a realist. I've had every PlayStation console. I grew up with PlayStation. PlayStation 1 was like my first like proper console. Then I've got the PS2, 3, 4, 5, had the 4 Pro, and then we've got the 5 Pro coming down the line. But I mean, you need to get real. I want the best for you and for me. We can't just be throwing money at these companies and being like, yes, it's amazing just because you love Sony or PlayStation. They can do better. They should do better. That's another reason why I always say I want Xbox to do better, because Sony needs competition. When it doesn't, it gets complacent and we get the rough end of the stick. So I agree with what he's saying here, 100%. So if you're playing on your TV, what is this? If you're playing your game and your sunlight is coming through your window onto your TV, you're not seeing any ray tracing. What? It has to be super optimal. You have to have an 8K monitor in a dark room to see these things. Okay. Sean Layden. I don't know where he's come with that one. Maybe he's not had his coffee before he had this interview, but if you're playing your game and sunlight is coming through your window onto your TV, you're not seeing any ray tracing. It has to be super optimal. You have to have an 8K monitor in a dark room to see these things. Okay, that's just bullshit. I don't know where he's coming out with that. I don't know what Sean Layden does now. Maybe he's got vested interest somewhere else. That's why he's saying these things, but I do not agree with that. You can absolutely see ray tracing. You can see ray tracing on a 1080p monitor. It's nothing to do with resolution. Like, it's about light reflecting, whatever the word is, shadows. It's nothing to do with that. Refraction, is that the word? I think it is. We're fighting over teraflops and that's no place to be. Agreed, 100%. And who found that out years ago? Nintendo, when they bailed out after, I think the last one, they were trying to enter the power race was the GameCube. So then 64 and then the GameCube, and after that they were like, this is a race to the bottom, it's not working. They pivoted, and it's more about the experience they've focused on, and they've got just such top tier console exclusives. So I think Sony needs to do a bit more of this as well. You know, we need to compete on content. Absolutely, that's what they need to focus on. Content is king. You know, that's why, well, Netflix is doing really well now. I know it wasn't a while ago, but why is that? It's because of all the exclusive content they have that you can only get there. That's why Nintendo does well. You can only play Mario and Zelda on Nintendo. Simple, be all end all. PlayStation has done this pretty well also. You know, if you want to play Horizon Forbidden West, you know, God of War, Astro Bot, where do you go? Spider-Man, you go to PlayStation. I know you can go on PC as well, but I'm talking about the console market. I feel the console market and the PC market are two separate things. So many casual consumers do not want to buy a PC. They may have a PC for other things, but when we're talking about console gaming, they want their console to sit in their living room, chill out on the sofa, and fire up a game with not having to mess about with settings and installing, and away they go and chill out and have fun. That to me is what the console market is all about. So I agree with this, absolutely. Jacking up the specs of the box, I think we've reached the ceiling. You know, we're there or thereabouts, especially if the PS5 Pro, with the price of it, is legit cost that much to make. I don't think it will. I'm pretty sure they're making a chunky bit of profit off that. And if it doesn't sell well, hopefully the price will come down. But yeah, because that console gaming was meant to be more accessible than PC gaming. Hence it was cheaper price, and they'd make the money back on the software they'd sell you. So if the software is going up, which it is, it's £70 or dollars a game now, watch this space. It wouldn't surprise me if GTA 6 bumps the price up again to 100. And the consoles are then costing like 700 or 800, like the PS5 Pro. Gaming's become a bit of a luxury. That's not a place it wants to be, definitely not. So Sony will introduce its PlayStation 5 Pro next month, sporting a larger GPU, advanced ray tracing and AI-driven upscaling for new and existing titles. The mid-generation upgrade will cost $700, £700 or €800 with no disc drive, which would cost you an extra 100, with no stand, which if you want it is like 25 or 30. That is a hell of a lot of money for a console. And wow, I can't believe the price of that. Anyways, with a special 30th anniversary edition of the machine sold out instantly. I get why that's sold out. That's like a collector's piece. And scalpers will be hoping to make a lot of money off that, unfortunately. Sony need to sort that out like what they did in Japan, where you need to have a PSN account with so many hours logged playing games on the platform before you can buy one of these. That's what they should have done with the 30th anniversary consoles over here in the UK and the US, to stop scalpers just hoovering them up. You see them on eBay instantly after it for like 10 times the price, which is just BS. But that is a different kettle of fish from the standard PS5 Pro, which is still in stock and available everywhere. You can buy it on PlayStation Direct, you can buy it on Amazon, you can buy it from any other retailers you have. It's available readily. There doesn't seem to be the same kind of demand, which I get. People say it's more niche. Yeah, but I think a lot of people would have jumped at that if it was maybe 500, even 600. If it's 600 with a disc drive, I would have been like, man, that's not bad. But 700 with all this stuff scaled back doesn't seem like a pro console, but it's got a pro price. Even if they chucked in the Edge controller, imagine it had only a 1TB hard drive. Here we go. Let's fix the PS5 Pro. PS5 Pro costs $600 or £600 in the UK, right? It has only a 1TB hard drive instead of 2, because you could easily upgrade it, hopefully like the original PlayStation. I don't know if you can in this one, I'm assuming you can. So it's 1TB hard drive, a DualSense Edge controller, so that's like the Pro controller with the Pro console, and a disc drive. That would have been a good value proposition. I would have been like, yep, sign me up. And then Layden concluded, the race is nearly over, and you know who won? AMD. Well, we spoke about that. AMD are providing the chips for all these machines, so I guess he is right. So I do agree on the whole with what he's saying. Some interesting things about like ray tracing and the length of games. I think the length, that's irrelevant, and the ray tracing comment is it's just really stupid, to be honest with you. I don't know what he's talking about. Do not know what he's talking about. But the most important thing is I want to know what you think about this, and this is a great article here from Jordan Midler. Jordan's a game judge from Scotland. Respect, fellow Scotsman, so go and check that out. I'll leave links down to this article in the description. But yeah, I think he's spot on and agree with all the stuff the PS5 Pro. And if you want to find out my unfiltered reviews and my reaction to this when it was announced, check out this video over here right now.